And hello, one and all, and as I promised, it is Wednesday morning. The polls have closed. I'm going to be answering all of the questions that you left in my last video, my Q&A. Thank you, 200 subs video. So I want to say thank you to all the people that submitted their questions, and I look forward to answering each and all of them. So without further ado, let's get into the Q&A, guys. So we start off with our first question. It is from the RGD The. He asks, what's your favorite match type / stipulation? That is a very good question. There are a number of good match types / stipulation matches. If I had to pick one, I'd probably have to go with Hell in a Cell. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. When it means something, when you take two people that have been embroiled in a feud and you put them inside that Hell in a Cell, like we've seen with Taker and Mankind, Michaels, The Undertaker, Triple H, Mick Foley, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, The Undertaker, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, recently was a good match, Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker, both of their cell matches. When you put two wrestlers in a structure like the Cell, anything and everything can happen. Shane McMahon versus The Undertaker with Shane jumping off the top of the Cell. So I'd have to go with Hell in a Cell. That's my favorite match type. Primetime asks, how did you get into wrestling? Well, I started watching wrestling as a result of, it happened in 2008. It was in 8th grade. Some of my friends, we were huddled around the computers before class started, and I was like, what are you guys watching? And it was a match, and it was the Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair match at WrestleMania 24. And the moment that I saw that match, I fell in love with wrestling, and I've been a fan ever since. So that's how I got into professional wrestling, and mainly WWE. What is your favorite memory from Raw and your favorite from SmackDown? This is from Primetime as well. Primetime, my favorite memory from Raw, since I've been watching, since 2008 to present, that's the window we're looking at here. I've seen a lot of good stuff on Raw, a lot of bad stuff, but it would probably be the Occupy Raw segment with Daniel Bryan, all the fans getting in the ring, and forcing Triple H to give in to Bryan's demand. I mean, that was just the way they built that segment, that whole culmination for Bryan, and then the announcement of the match versus Triple H, and then having him, if he wins the match versus Triple H, he would be inserted into the WrestleMania 30 main event. That was just fantastic storytelling from start to finish. So that is probably my favorite Raw moment. My favorite SmackDown moment, that's hard to say because it's been off and on with SmackDown for me. It's trying to think. It goes back a while, but I really enjoyed, I think it was a steel cage match between Jeff Hardy and CM Punk. I think that was Jeff Hardy's last match in WWE. That was a really good SmackDown match. Moment-wise, it's been tough for SmackDown. Hopefully with the brand split coming back, we can get some good SmackDown moments going. But yeah, I've mainly only watched Raw, but moments aside, that period in 2009, I have to say SmackDown was the superior show to Raw. Just want to throw that out there. So if I can't name a specific moment, I would just have to name the year 2009, because that was a good year, in my opinion, for SmackDown. Raw had the guest GM, celebrity guest host crap, and it was just really unbearable to watch. SmackDown was the wrestling show. You had guys like The Undertaker, Edge, Rey Mysterio, John Morrison, Jeff Hardy, CM Punk. They had a really good roster over there on SmackDown, and it was always enjoyable to watch on Fridays. So yeah. And then he finally asks, what is your favorite finisher? It has to be the Stone Cold Stunner. When Stone Cold hit that move, the place would go nuts. How can you not love the Stone Cold Stunner? Whether he hits it on Vince McMahon, The Rock when he oversells it, Taker, whoever Stone Cold hits that move, it's certainly great to see. So that's definitely my favorite finishing move. So thank you for the questions. All right, we have questions here from Classic Wrestling Commentaries. He's got 5 questions here for me. Where do you see NXT in the next 2 years? I see it continuing to grow, continuing to be a place for developmental stars to rise and shine. I think we will be seeing new signees come into NXT based on the WWE brand split and talents like Bayley, the American Alpha, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, Bobby Roode, probably Austin Aries. I could see them all getting called up to the main roster. So you're going to have to restock, replenish the shelves, and I think NXT will be doing fine, and it would be a good way to continue to develop talent for the future, and that is something important to have for WWE. Who do you think wins next year's Royal Rumble match? It's still a long way off. Who would I like to see win the Royal Rumble match? Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Cesaro, Brock Lesnar, AJ Styles, that would be good. Bray Wyatt. There are a number of good names to win the Royal Rumble match, although it's very tough. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, like I said. It's tough this early. Finn Balor would be great. Oh, man. Probably Finn Balor, since he will be on the main roster very soon. Do you think WWE will get higher ratings with the brand split? I have a theory about this. I think SmackDown ratings, I could see them going up. I could see people choosing to want to watch a show that is 2 hours long. And I could see Raw ratings go down, continue to go down, and hopefully that'll spur USA to make Raw 2 hours again, because I just think with half the roster and a 3-hour show to fill, I feel like the quality in Raw is going to suffer. And if that's the case, I might just tune Raw out and simply watch the 2-hour SmackDown. I mean, a 2-hour show versus a 3-hour show, we'll see. But that's my theory on how the ratings will do. What is your favorite main event of WrestleMania from WrestleMania history? There's been a lot of great main event matches in WrestleMania history. My favorite, looking back, I've seen them all. It's tough because if you're asking just from when I started watching to now, main event, if we're talking about last match on the show, give me a minute to think here. Because I started watching I've seen from 24 onward. But I've likewise seen all the other WrestleManias on the network. I had to pick one. Just from how excited I was from a fan's perspective and was really looking forward to the match. I have to go back to that Rock Cena match. The first one. As a huge fan of The Rock and just passionately despising John Cena, wanting to see him lose. The 1-year build, I'd have to go with that match. Just from a fan perspective, that was my favorite main event match in WrestleMania history. If you could erase any moment from WWE history, what would it be? That's a very good question, so thank you for all those. If I had to erase one moment from WWE history, there's been a lot of bad moments, a lot of garbage. That's a very good question. One moment. Only one. It would probably be the Royal Rumble 2015. I'd erase Roman Reigns winning. Just the way the whole match was booked. I mean, he still could have won, but just that match, erase that match completely. I'm sorry. That was just terrible. The way it was laid out, it was bad booking. It should have had to come down to Reigns and Bryan, your final two, and then if they go with Reigns, But just the way that hurt him, really, in the long run. He hasn't been the same ever since. Royal Rumble 2015. The match. Just erase it. Rebook it. So thank you for the questions, Nathan. Okay, we got a question from my friend here, Nerd Coalition. He says he has a question/game for you. It's called Keep One, Lose One. Here are the rules. He will give me 2 wrestlers, and you have to tell me which one you would keep and which one you would get rid of. The catch is, whichever wrestler you get rid of, they get erased from existence with all their accomplishments. So who would you keep and lose? Hulk Hogan or Stone Cold? If you lose Hogan, you lose wrestling becoming mainstream, possibly WrestleMania. The The growth of WCW, the NWO, and everything else he has brought to wrestling. Lose Stone Cold, you lose the Attitude Era, maybe WWE, because WCW would have put them out of business, wrestling going more mainstream, and putting The Rock on the map and all his other accomplishments. So who would you keep, and who will you erase from existence? This is a very good question. You could not pick two bigger names. Hogan, Austin, two of the biggest names of all time, no doubt. But if I had to get rid of one, it's tough because they're both legendary. I'd probably go with Stone Cold in this situation because without Hogan, it wouldn't help put the WWF on the map to begin with and help it to grow into the company that it would become. Now, of course, he did go to WCW and all that. Yeah, I'd go with Hogan because he did lay the foundation, helped really grow that company in the 80s and into the early 90s. And without him, I don't think WWE would be where it would be today, most certainly. So, yeah, it's a tough question, but I'm going with I would keep Hogan over Austin. Here's a question from Hunter Waldrop. Do you follow any other sports besides wrestling and hockey? Not really. Occasionally, you'll see I'm going to be watching UFC. Casual UFC fan at best. Casual baseball fan at best. I do watch the Pirates when they're winning, so they are on a win streak, so I might start watching some Bucco baseball. But yeah, it's mostly wrestling and hockey for me. Excuse me. Thank you for the question. Let's see if we got any more. Here's one from the CS19871. Thank you for your question. I would like to know, what did you think of my booking of Sting versus The Undertaker? At WrestleMania 30, Brock Lesnar is beating the hell out of The Undertaker. Brock gives Taker the F5, 1-2. Then the lights go out, and Sting appears on the Titantron with his music playing. Brock is looking at the Titantron. Then from behind, Sting drops Lesnar with a Scorpion Death Drop. Puts Taker over Lesnar, 1-2-3. Next night on Raw, Undertaker says he's going to retire. Then out comes Sting. He tells Taker, if I didn't come out to help you, your WrestleMania streak would have been broken. Then Sting says, all I want from you, Undertaker, is a match at WrestleMania 31. Undertaker says yes, and the rest is history. What do you think of that? I like it. It would have been awesome to see. I like the way you set it up there. With Sting helping to keep the streak intact and saying that, I want to face you next year in Santa Clara. WrestleMania 31, it would have been a dream match, would have been one of the biggest matches of all time. It's a shame we will never see it, but I like your scenario. Sting versus Undertaker would have been one for the record books. So, nice scenario, and thank you for asking the question. We also have another question from the CS19871. Who do you think would win a 3 Stages of Hell match in their prime? Shawn Michaels versus Rob Van Dam. Be a little biased here, more so a Shawn Michaels fan than an RVD fan. I do like RVD, but I'd probably have to go with Shawn Michaels, just all around one of the best in-ring performers of all time. So I'd have to go with HBK. The first fall will be a singles match. The second fall will be a hardcore match. And the third fall will be a ladders match. I think Shawn would have the advantage in the singles and ladders match. Obviously, RVD would have the advantage in the hardcore match. So likewise, I see how that balances out in Shawn's favor. Let me just make sure I've answered all of your questions. Yes, I did. All right, everybody. Thank you all for submitting your questions down below. I appreciate it. Hopefully I can do more of these Q&A videos in the near future. Be on the lookout also for my NXT review. Hopefully have that up tonight. We got a good lineup. We got Alexa Bliss versus Bayley. We got the Hype Bros versus Blake and Murphy. And we got the American Alpha versus the Revival in a 2 out of 3 falls match. And possibly be on the lookout for a SmackDown review tomorrow. Brock Lesnar's opponent will be announced for SummerSlam tomorrow on SmackDown. Of course, I didn't watch Raw this week, so maybe I will be providing you with a live SmackDown review. I'll keep you posted about that. And, of course, I will be providing my live reactions video to UFC 200 this Saturday for Brock Lesnar versus Mark Hunt. It's going to be a freaking fight. It's going to be an ass-kicking contest. It's going to be brutal. Cannot wait for that. So we'll have that. And then, of course, Monday, July 11th, I will be back with my live Raw reviews, and hopefully I will have a special guest on. Chris Stock will be joining me, so hopefully we can set that up and have a good Raw to talk about and review. So a lot of good content coming soon to the channel, guys. Don't forget to check out the Let's Play videos. WWF No Mercy Parts 1 and Parts 2 are up on the channel. And yeah, thank you all for tuning into this Q&A video. I will see you guys in my next video. Peace.